As we told you at the top of this newscast, victims who were viciously attacked by a Northeast Ohio man are demanding justice tonight.
They say he showed no remorse, yet the judge released him.
Another day, another repeat offender. In this particular case, we have an individual called Serus Walters who was arrested for multiple felony assaults on at least 3 different individuals. And by the way, each time he was arrested for one of the assaults, he was released only to commit the same exact crime against another innocent person, basically the very next day or in the days after. And he gets a sweetheart plea deal from a judge where he's allowed to plead guilty to 3 misdemeanor assaults, and he gets time served. And of course, the victims in this particular case are outraged. One of the victims that actually came forward to the local news talks about how he thought he was going to die. The beating was so vicious that was inflicted upon him, but for whatever reason, this woke judge in Cleveland, Ohio decided to defy everyone and give this guy time served, let him out, and I'm guessing he's just going to reoffend again because he showed absolutely no remorse nor any contrition based on the fact that he assaulted these different individuals. Now, we're going to get into this. We are going to break this down. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
This man, Serus Walters, was in court here earlier this week, pleading guilty to brutally assaulting 3 men, all within the same month. However, the judge let him walk, and now his victims are outraged, and they want justice.
I'm ready to get in this cop car and face my time.
Listen. This is body cam footage of officers arresting Serus Walters last year for assault. Earlier this week, Walters was released from jail after he admitted to brutally assaulting 3 men.
I was fairly certain he was trying to kill me.
Walters viciously attacked David Dudley last year in downtown Cleveland.
So right here we see footage of Serus Walters' body cam arrest where he seems to be laughing it up, yucking it up, and honestly, the joke is on all of us because guess what? He was not held accountable for his actions to which he was arrested for in this particular incident. Then we get a cut to the victim in this particular case, or one of the victims who happens to be a defense attorney, and he's absolutely shocked that Serus's crimes were not taken too seriously by the judge because he was able to plead on not just his vicious assault that he felt like nearly would have killed him, but on multiple vicious assaults to misdemeanors and get a sentence of time served.
Dudley's a criminal defense attorney who is here on business. He represents clients from across the country.
I have been in front of over 1,000 judges.
But the one who's baffled him the most is Judge Collier-Williams. Earlier this week, Serus Walters pleaded guilty to assaulting 3 men, including Dudley.
So it will be shocking to none of you that this judge right here, Collier-Williams, is an elected judge and a member of the Democratic Party. In fact, in her primary, according to her Ballotpedia page, she won that election with 100% of the primary vote. By the way, the Republican, because this is an uncompetitive district, also won with 100% of the vote, and then she absolutely crushed the general election because they don't elect Democrats in this district with 71% of the general election vote. So essentially the Democrats ran nobody against this particular candidate. She's under no threat of losing a general election, of losing her job, so she's able to flex her muscles and her woke bona fides by giving this innocent Baba Angel Aladdin a break on all the charges because in reality he was just assaulting all these different various people in order to feed his starving family.
He ran towards me and kicked me in the ribs and my shoulder, and then multiple times in the back of the head.
Dudley suffered severe contusions and a broken shoulder.
This guy is unpredictably violent.
So again, we have a defense attorney right here, somebody who understands advocating for a client that may be guilty from time to time. He says he's appeared in front of 1,000 judges, but this one has vexed him more than any other judge that he's ever encountered, and he of course encounters this judge as a victim in this particular crime, and he describes his assault, and the local media ends up pulling up the police report related to it, and you find out that he has a left eye contusion, which is a black eye, he has a severe head injury, and he had a broken shoulder as a result of this completely unprovoked attack. And again, there are multiple attacks that are the results of this person being released automatically without bail multiple different times. And the only time that the citizens of Cleveland got a bit of a reprieve from this person is when he was held pre-trial for the 2 months preceding this bench trial where he ended up pleading guilty. So 2 months of justice for 3 serious felony assaults. And by the way, way, only 2 of the 3 victims feel comfortable coming forward because they're afraid of retribution, and presumably if that retribution were to happen, there would be no consequences for this.
During Walters' bench trial this past Monday, Collier-Williams reduced his felony charge to a misdemeanor, allowing Walters to walk the streets of Cleveland once again.
Judge Williams didn't even put him on any kind of supervision. The prosecutor was shocked at that.
So this is absolutely key right here, and how you know the fix was in, and this particular elected judge didn't give a damn about the people that this guy will go on to victimize, much less the people that he previously victimized. Because unlike other cases where we hear about no jail time, sometimes there's an attached suspended sentence. This is something often described as probation, which means if you violate the terms of said probation, you will be remanded to custody in order to serve out your time. Now, if this were a case where this individual, Serus Walters, ended up getting 10 years of supervised release, which is probation, and you had a serious probation officer for when he reoffends, and he would be sent to prison in order to serve that time, then we would be talking about something completely different. I would still be opposed to it based on his violent actions, but I would not be as angry as I am right now because he got the 2 months time served. 2 months for 3 serious felony assaults, including breaking the shoulder of an elderly man. He might not be that elderly, but he's still old enough that it's a huge problem that you're unprovoked attacking him on the streets. But this judge said, no big deal. Reduce it to a misdemeanor and goodbye. Have a good time. Enjoy the rest of your life.
The prosecutor was shocked at that.
Shocked, he says, because when Walters addressed the court, he failed to take responsibility for his actions.
He neither apologized to me nor any of the other victims he acknowledged attacking.
So this right here is absolutely ridiculous as well. Now, a lot of people will say the apology from the defendant, it's just a formality and whatnot, and it's not really meaningful, especially since this guy's a repeat offender and he'll go out and do it again. But that doesn't mean you reward somebody who does not apologize, who does not acknowledge fault. Again, this guy's smiling in his mugshots. He's laughing as he's being arrested in the body cam footage.
I'm ready to get in this cop car and face my time. Listen, I have nothing on me, bro. I have on me.
Take a look at this body cam footage from Metro Parks Police. It shows officers arresting Serus Walters for robbery and assault. Walters told officers his brother probably did it, since the two look alike, but police didn't buy it and they arrested him for assault. But the very next day, he'd be back on the streets.
I ain't do no crime, bro. We've been walking this whole time.
On March 12th, Metro Parks Police received the call that a man was assaulted near Whiskey Island.
He said he's just walking down. Guy, black coat, comes up, asks him if he has any money. He says no. The next thing you know, he hits him in the back of the head. He fell down, got up, and he hit him in the mouth.
The man's injuries required stitches.
You're bleeding pretty good, all right, so.
Walters again denied doing anything wrong.
There's black people with dreads that look like each other. I don't even know nobody.
He pointed at you directly.
I don't know him.
Relax.
Man, you relax.
How much you been drinking today?
I ain't drunk nothing, bro.
You reek of alcohol, so simmer the down.
Crazy, bro.
Just 2 weeks later, attorney David Dudley says Walter attacked him outside the Hilton in downtown Cleveland.
I just went down like this, and I'm covered in my face because all the initial part of the assault was on my face.
Last month, 19 Investigates showed you Dudley's injuries: serious bruising, contusion to his eye, and a fractured shoulder.
Everything that has been demonstrated to us by his behavior shows us that he will absolutely do this again if given the thinnest level of provocation. And by the way, all these attacks were unprovoked, so you don't even need that provocation. And yet the judge says 2 months. You broke a guy's shoulder, you beat him, you gave him a contusion, you attacked this other guy that we're going to hear from in just a little bit, you attacked a third person, caused him to get stitches. No big deal. Don't even say you're sorry. Just enjoy the rest of your life, you innocent Baba Angel Aladdin. And yes, I'm going to say it twice in this video at least.
He showed no remorse, not one shred of remorse.
I feel the judge let us down.
We'll call this man Tony. Surveillance video captured Walters beating on him in Tower City.
He broke my glasses, and also I had a few knots on the back of my head. I had a ring around my eye.
Tony says he's devastated by the judge's ruling.
She's just getting time served, which is, I think, ridiculous because I feel he's a menace to society.
So look, obviously I had to freeze frame the surveillance video right there, but you could see the vicious attack right here. And as Tan Sean King, that is overweight, said, he broke his glasses and of course left a bunch of knots on his head. And again, this was yet another unprovoked attack that he didn't even apologize for, that he got time served. But just so you know, this is not just a black on white thing. We don't have any description as far as I know on the third victim, but he appears to be an equal opportunity opportunity attacker on the streets of Cleveland, Ohio. However, the elected Democratic judge, who has no chance of being voted out of office, says, no big deal, enjoy the rest of your life, maybe kill someone, and I might give you a couple of years of probation.
After assaulting Tony, Walters was arrested and released the next day to attack once again. This time, he injured a man near Whiskey Island so severely, he required stitches.
I ain't do no crime, bro. We've been walking this whole time.
Once again, Walters was arrested and released. That's when Dudley turned to 19 Investigates for help.
There was no detective on this case until right before the story ran, when they found out it was going to run.
So one of the reasons I like to highlight stories like this is we have to increase the embarrassment factor for the officials that are involved in these debacles, in these coordinated efforts to pander to the criminal, because like this person said right here, the Cleveland police didn't even assign a detective to this case until the local news decided that they were going to run a report in which they reached out for comment from the police. And again, this is hopefully a result to shine a light on this elected judge, so maybe we could get some change in the future in terms of that office position. But yeah, this is how people operate. This is how these politicians, police, and judge end up acting when nobody's looking. They end up cutting breaks to the criminal, pretending it's like no big deal, even though, again, they knew when they released him the second time and the third time that he immediately attacked more people after he was released. And by the way, this is the ideal candidate for Black Lives Matter if he were to fight off the cops and then end up getting shot, for them to paint him as some innocent victim in that particular circumstance. And it's ridiculous and absurd that it takes local news media pressure, but the thing is, this is what we have to do in order to try to secure justice in these types of cases.
We obtained video from the city's surveillance cameras showing Walters stumbling down the street after Dudley's attack.
Now, did this local news segment need to show me surveillance video of Serus Walters, the suspect who got this sweetheart plea deal, stumbling over a curb that had nothing to do with the crimes other than it happened immediately after the crime? No, but I'm definitely appreciative of it, because what it ultimately ends up proving is not only the fact that Serus Walters is a career criminal, is somebody who's a repeat offender, is somebody who is a danger to society, but he's also not a very serious walker.
By placing that on your news report, we were able to find him.
Tony identified Walters from our report, and police arrested him once again. He was again released, then rearrested. This time, Walters spent 2 months in jail until earlier this week when Judge Collier-Williams let him go with time served.
The judge gave him the absolute minimum sentence that was available.
He's going to be out there doing the same thing again.
Now, I know what at least one of you out there in the audience is thinking. You're thinking, Sean, you know what? You're saying that this guy's going to repeat offend, that he's just going to do it again, and you're basing that on the fact that before he served 2 whole months in the county jail, he was released multiple times and immediately arrested the very next day, each and every time. But in reality, he could be rehabilitated. This woke judge, this Democratic judge, probably saw something in this man's soul and realized that he was never going to do it again. He was going to straighten out his life, and he was going to be on his way to med school and probably going to be the guy who cured cancer. And honestly, genuinely, I truly hope that is true. But the thing is, I also live in reality and know for a fact that that isn't true, and the local news segment is on the same page as me because they followed this case for 2 days after he was released, and guess what? He was arrested again. He was arrested 2 days after he got the sweetheart plea deal. I know this might be shocking to you, but a guy who continuously gets released and then rearrested and then gets no consequences for his crimes doesn't even have to apologize to the victims or take responsibility in his plea deal, shockingly is committing more crimes.
Walters was arrested again yesterday, just 2 days after being released.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant job by this judge. You really assessed this situation and gave it the seriousness that it deserves, pun intended. And of course, I'm being sarcastic about this because even the man's mugshot that they've been showing throughout the course of this segment shows us clearly and obviously that he finds nothing wrong and has no issue with being arrested because he knows the system is built to cater to him. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, then show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social medias, support me via support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Serus Walters and not being taken seriously. Till next time.